Well, my friends, the news of the day is certainly the alleged killing of Osama bin Laden by a United States SEAL team during one of the United States' illegal excursions into Pakistan. The United States has of course been carrying out illegal bombing raids against Pakistan since as far back as 2005 and possibly even earlier. This is of course without war ever being declared upon Pakistan, so they've just been sort of going in there and indiscriminately bombing another country. And even though a lot of these raids have been conducted by the military, there's very little doubt that these are in fact covert CIA operations, and the CIA's main agenda has always been stirring up tension around the world and paving the way for military and economic takeovers by the banking cartel that controls the United States government. All carried out, of course, as always, under the guise of spreading freedom to the world. Yes, folks, it's amazing how free people become when they have bombs dropped on them. Frees them from pretty well everything, doesn't it, including life itself. Good old democratic freedom. Now, folks, this alleged killing of Osama bin Laden is almost too predictable. It's almost as if what's going on in life at the moment is turning into a B-grade movie. At least they tried to keep it A-grade for a little while, but this latest farce is just beyond a joke. Now, as I've said before, and as so many people have said, Osama bin Laden has been dead for a very long time, probably about 10 years. It's very likely that he died in December 2001, and the United States government has had his body on ice since then. I mean, perhaps they didn't even have him on ice because they are certainly not able to produce any body for us now to confirm that he was killed in the recent raid into Pakistan, because the United States government then proceeded to drop his body into the ocean. And of course, this is what you would do, isn't it, folks? I mean, it's perfectly natural that if you catch the most wanted man in the universe that the entire world has been waiting for you to catch for some 10 years, you would of course drop his body into the ocean before anybody can see it and refuse to show any photographs to the public. I imagine you would want to do this simply to confirm that the whole thing happened just the way you said. So you can see the wonderful logic of the United States government, and if there was ever any question that these are truly the most incompetently sociopathic morons that the human gene pool has ever degraded far enough to produce, then there's your evidence, folks. I mean, who writes this stuff, honestly? What are these people clutching at straws now for a script? I mean, it really does make you wonder. But yes, folks, in what was obviously an extremely well-timed and very staged event, they allegedly killed him and dropped his body into the ocean. And they probably did so simply to add their final insult to the Muslim community, as it is against Muslim tradition to bury people at sea. And naturally, we are having Obama saying it's a breach of national security for them to show any photos of Osama bin Laden. I imagine they haven't had any time to Photoshop any up yet. And when you consider their use of national security as a means of avoiding showing these photos to the people, you've got to understand what they're really talking about here, folks. Is what they're saying is that if we release these photos we've got of Osama bin Laden, everybody's going to see that they're fake, and the government may thereby expose themselves as the pathological liars that they are, and the nation is likely to rise up against them. That's about the only breach of national security that it actually poses. But all of that aside, when you really look at the timing of this alleged capture and defeat of Osama bin Laden, it's almost too predictable. And as I said, we really are starting to enter into the realms of a B-grade movie. And let's just look at this, folks. For a start, it happened on May Day, of course, May the 1st. Why would it happen on any other day? May the 1st is, of course, Beltane. It's celebrated in many cultures, in many countries, May Day. And these celebrations and rituals that occur on this day go way back to Druidic times. And even in semi-modern history, May 1st is, of course, the anniversary of Adolf Hitler's death, and it is also the anniversary of the day the Illuminati was founded. And it is also, just coincidentally of course, a day that traditionally celebrates the end of sacrifice to Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, which is quite significant as we see the end of the hunt for bin Laden, of course. They just love their rituals, folks. They love to do things on ritualistic dates. And you see this with all sorts of events. I thought it was a nice touch marrying Prince William and Kate Middleton 2 days prior to capturing Osama bin Laden and setting the wedding date to coincide with Hitler's wedding date. I thought that was a quite tasteful inclusion, and indeed folks, there was a good many rituals that seemed to be involved in that day, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. But getting back to bin Laden, there's all sorts of other reasons why this would be done at this particular time. And you've really got to step back and look at it holistically, folks. I mean, of course, you've got the release of Obama's completely photoshopped birth certificate, which is obviously fake, and everybody knows it's fake. So this has, of course, put the nation into a state of crisis because they've got a constitutional crisis from it, because you have to be an American to be president, and it would appear that Obama is not. So the country truly is in a state of crisis. Whether most of the people realise it or not, it is in a state of crisis. And Obama's popularity is of course falling rapidly because everyone realises that this birth certificate is fake. So we need something to boost his popularity. So right on cue, enter Osama bin Laden and his extraordinarily timely demise, which is of course a very useful event for the flailing Mr. Obama, as now he can be portrayed as the man who caught the villain, and this should boost his ratings for a little while. And imagine the turmoil this will put people in as well. I mean, we've got a president who isn't even a legitimate president, and he's the man who caught the villain. So that'll do a lot for American self-esteem, won't it? And the event will also be used to point the finger even deeper at Pakistan and say, well, look, folks, we're going to have to legitimately declare war on Pakistan now, because obviously we now need to go to war against Pakistan and kill as many innocent people there as possible, simply because we claim that they were harbouring the most wanted man in the universe. Even though we don't have his body to show you, we are going to have to go in there and kill millions of people. Because we wish to promote freedom, of course. That's why we go and kill people everywhere, because we wish to promote freedom. And it will also be used to tighten up security on the United States a little bit more, to introduce more draconian measures and quite possibly stage a new false flag attack. Now remember, folks, when the war on terror started, and folks, the war on terror is simply a war on T-E-R-R-A, war on terror. Terror is the name of the earth. This is simply war on the earth. And that's the only way it can be seen, unless you really would like to say that it's a war against a state of mind, because that's what terror is. So it's either a war against the earth or a war on a noun, and what I'm seeing is it definitely seems to be a war against the earth and against the people of the earth. Now, when this war on terror started, we were told that we needed to implement all of these draconian, Hitlerian type measures to protect us from the evil Osama bin Laden. But of course, now Osama bin Laden has been allegedly killed. They're telling us that they're going to have to not lift all of these draconian measures that they've imposed upon us, but increase them for fear of retaliation from bin Laden's alleged followers that exist in the mythical terror organization, which is in fact a CIA database named Al-Qaeda. So they've used this event to twice now step up security across the world. Security is getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and people's freedoms are being removed more and more and more. And the government tells us that this is to keep us safe from Muslims who wish to steal our freedoms. So I figure their logic is that if they steal every freedom that we have, then there won't be anything for the Muslims to come and steal. And the really important thing is what you do. What you do personally, what energy you are personally in. That is the most important thing. If you are in an energetic state of love, if you are in a state of giving to the creation, and you address things that are going on around you from that perspective, we can still turn the tide. But if we can maintain an energetic state of love and giving and then apply it to the physical world around us now, we can still change things. We have that opportunity, folks, and we just have to embrace that opportunity. And again, all that's really needed is to change your perspective, change your perception of what reality is. Because when you can change your perspective, you can remove fear from your life, and it is in removing fear that you can stand up and address the issues that we face. And we've got to understand that it's our problem. It's up to us to change it. We can't expect the government to change it. We have to do it ourselves. We have to realise who and what we are and come into our power and stand up and address the situation, but we have to do it from the correct energetic state. That's all. It's really that simple. The answer to everything, folks, is in fact so simple that most people simply cannot see the answer. They think there must be forms to fill out or something. There must be a water fight or a battle to be waged or something like that. But in reality, the truth is so absurdly simple that unfortunately most people simply can't see it because they can't believe that it could truly be that simple. But it is that simple, and for me that is probably the most frustrating part of all, folks, is the fact that it is so ridiculously simple. And I just live in the hope that the light bulb will go off in people's heads and they will have that aha moment, and they will all stand up and join hands and turn to address the problems that we face and thereby heal them.